Hello, everyone, and welcome back to I Speak English. I'm so happy you're here today. Before we begin, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you been learning English for months, or maybe even years, but you still don't feel fluent? Maybe you know hundreds of English words. Maybe you've studied grammar for a long time. Maybe you can understand English when you read a book or watch a video. But when someone asks you a simple question in English, your mind suddenly goes blank. You know the words, you know the grammar, but you just can't speak. If this sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. Millions of English learners around the world experience exactly the same problem. The good news is that fluency is not a special talent. It isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, and like every skill, it can be learned. Today, I'm going to share a complete roadmap that can completely change the way you learn English. By the end of this podcast, you'll understand why most people never become fluent. The biggest mistakes English learners make. The daily habits of fluent English speakers. A practical plan you can start today. And how to stay motivated even when learning feels difficult. So, if you're serious about improving your English, stay with me until the end because every part of this podcast builds on the previous one. Let's begin with one of the biggest myths about learning English. Many people believe that fluency means speaking like a native speaker. They think they need a perfect accent, perfect grammar, a huge vocabulary, and they believe they must never make mistakes. But that's simply not true. Even native English speakers make grammar mistakes. Sometimes they forget words, sometimes they mispronounce difficult names, sometimes they pause while speaking because they're thinking, nobody speaks perfectly all the time. So, what does it really mean to be fluent? Fluency means being able to communicate your ideas naturally and confidently. It means expressing your thoughts without translating every sentence in your head. It means understanding conversations, responding naturally, and continuing the discussion even if you don't know every single word. Think about a child learning their first language. Children don't begin with perfect grammar. They begin by listening. Then they repeat words. Then they make mistakes, thousands of mistakes. But nobody laughs at them. Nobody tells them they're failures. They simply continue practicing every single day. Eventually, they become fluent. As English learners, we often expect ourselves to be perfect from the very beginning. We become afraid of making mistakes. We stay silent because we don't want to sound foolish. But here's something I want you to remember throughout this entire podcast. Every mistake you make is proof that you're learning. Mistakes are not your enemy. Silence is. The more you speak, the better you'll become. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. Confidence doesn't come before speaking. Confidence comes because of speaking. So today, make yourself one promise. Stop waiting for perfection. Start aiming for progress, even if you improve by just 1% every day. Those small improvements will completely transform your English over time. Remember, fluency isn't built in one day. It's built one conversation, one lesson, one new word, and one brave attempt at a time. It's built one conversation, one lesson, one new word, and one brave attempt at a time. Now that we understand what fluency really means, let's move on to the next section. The 7 biggest mistakes English learners make. Now that we understand what fluency really means, let's talk about something that stops millions of people from reaching their goals. Many English learners study for years, but they don't see the results they expect. The problem isn't that they're not intelligent. The problem isn't that they're too old, and it's definitely not because they don't have talent. Most learners simply repeat the same mistakes every day without realizing it. Today, I'm going to share the 7 biggest mistakes English learners make, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Mistake number 1, translating every word. This is probably the biggest mistake of all. Imagine someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" Instead of answering immediately, your brain starts working like a translator first. You think of the sentence in your native language, then you translate every word into English. Then you check the grammar. Then you wonder if your pronunciation is correct. By the time you're ready to answer, the conversation has already moved on. Does this sound familiar? The truth is, fluent English speakers don't translate. They think directly in English. Now. Don't worry if you can't do that yet. It's a skill you can develop. Start with simple thoughts. When you wake up, instead of thinking in your native language, say to yourself, "I'm tired. I need coffee. Today is going to be busy. I'm going to work." These are small sentences, but they train your brain to think in English naturally. Remember this, translation slows you down. Thinking in English speeds you up. Mistake number 2. Being afraid of making mistakes. Let me ask you a question. Who learns faster? The person who speaks every day and makes 20 mistakes? Or the person who stays silent because they're afraid of making one mistake? The answer is obvious. The first person improves much faster, unfortunately. Many English learners wait until their grammar is perfect before they start speaking. But perfection never comes first. Practice comes first. Every fluent speaker you admire has made thousands of mistakes. Children make mistakes. Adults make mistakes. Even teachers make mistakes sometimes. Mistakes are part of learning. Every mistake teaches you something new. So don't ask yourself, "What if I make a mistake?" Instead, ask yourself, "What will I learn today?" That small change in mindset can completely change your confidence. Mistake number 3. Learning grammar without using it. Grammar is important, but grammar alone will never make you fluent. Imagine reading a cookbook every day. You know every recipe, you understand every ingredient, but you've never actually cooked a meal. Would you become a great chef? Of course not. English works exactly the same way. You don't learn to speak by only studying grammar. You learn by using grammar while speaking, writing, listening, and reading. For example, if today's grammar lesson is the present perfect tense, don't stop after reading the rules. Create your own sentences, say them aloud, write them down, use them in a conversation. The more you use grammar in real life, the easier it becomes. Mistake number 4, studying without listening. Many learners spend hours reading vocabulary lists. Others complete grammar exercises every day, but they rarely listen to real English. Listening is one of the fastest ways to improve your fluency. Why? Because your brain begins to recognize natural pronunciation, sentence patterns, rhythm, and common expressions. You don't have to understand every word, just listen consistently. Listen while you're cooking. Listen while you're walking. Listen while you're exercising. The more English enters your ears, the more naturally English will come out of your mouth. Remember this simple rule: input comes before output. If you want to speak better, listen more. Mistake number 5. Learning random vocabulary. Have you ever written down a list of 50 new English words? Maybe you memorized them for a test, but 1 week later, you forgot almost all of them. This happens because our brains don't remember isolated information very well. Instead of memorizing random words, learn vocabulary in context. For example, don't just learn the word appointment. Learn an entire sentence. "I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning." Instead of learning the word borrow, learn, "Can I borrow your pen?" When you learn complete phrases, your brain remembers them much more naturally. This is exactly how native speakers learn their first language. They don't memorize dictionaries. They learn language through situations and conversations. So, from today, stop collecting words, start collecting useful phrases. Your English will sound much more natural. Mistake number 6, being inconsistent. This is one of the biggest reasons people quit. Many learners study for 5 hours on Monday, then they don't study again until next weekend. A week later, they start again, then they stop. Learning becomes a cycle of starting and stopping. Imagine going to the gym once every 2 weeks. Would you become stronger? Probably not. The same is true for English. Your brain needs regular practice. Even 20 or 30 minutes every day is much more powerful than studying for several hours only once a week. Consistency builds habits. Habits build confidence. Confidence builds fluency. Don't wait until you have the perfect schedule. Use the time you already have. Listen to English while you're driving. Review vocabulary while waiting for a bus. Read one page before going to bed. Small daily actions create big results. Remember, consistency always beats intensity. Mistake number 7. Giving up too soon. This might be the saddest mistake of all. Many learners quit just before they would have made real progress at first. Learning English feels exciting. Everything is new, every lesson feels interesting, but after a few months, progress becomes slower. Some days you feel like you're improving, other days you feel completely stuck. This is normal. Every learner experiences this stage. Learning isn't a straight line. Some weeks you'll improve quickly. Some weeks it may feel like nothing is happening, but your brain is still learning behind the scenes. Imagine planting a tree for weeks. You don't see anything above the ground. Does that mean the tree isn't growing? Of course not. The roots are developing first. Your English develops the same way. One day, you'll suddenly realize, wow, I understood that movie. I answered without translating. I had my first conversation in English. Those moments happen because you kept going. Never underestimate the power of patience. Fluent English isn't built overnight. It's built one day at a time. What successful English learners do differently? Now, you may be wondering, if these are the mistakes, what should I do instead? Successful English learners don't have secret talents. They simply follow better habits. They don't wait until they feel confident. They practice first. Confidence comes later. They don't compare themselves with others. They compare themselves with who they were yesterday. They celebrate small improvements, one new phrase, one better pronunciation, one successful conversation. These small victories keep them motivated. Successful learners also surround themselves with English. Their phone is in English. They watch English videos. They listen to English podcasts. They read simple English books, little by little. English becomes part of their everyday life, and finally, they understand one important truth. Learning English is not a race. Some people become fluent in 1 year. Others need 3 years. The only person you should compete with is yourself. If you're a little better today than you were yesterday, you're moving in the right direction, so don't focus on perfection. Focus on progress, keep showing up, keep learning, keep speaking. Because every single day you practice, you're getting closer to fluency. The 8 daily habits of fluent English speakers. What do fluent English speakers do every day? Many people imagine that fluent speakers study for 8 or 10 hours a day. The truth is very different. Most successful learners don't study longer, they study smarter. They build simple habits and repeat them every day. Let's look at 8 habits that can completely transform your English. Habit number 1, they listen to English every single day. The first habit is simple, they listen every day. Even if it's only for 15 or 20 minutes, listening trains your brain to recognize pronunciation, rhythm, stress, and natural expressions. Think about babies before they speak their first word. They spend months listening. They hear the same sounds again and again. Eventually, their brain begins to understand the language naturally. You should do the same. Listen to English podcasts while you're cooking. Listen while driving. Listen while walking. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Your goal isn't perfection. Your goal is exposure. The more English you hear, the more familiar it becomes. Remember, your ears teach your mouth how to speak. Habit number 2, they speak even when they feel nervous. One of the biggest differences between successful learners and unsuccessful learners is courage. Successful learners speak even when they're nervous, even when they know they'll make mistakes, because they understand something important. Speaking is a skill, and every skill improves with practice. Imagine learning to swim. Would reading books about swimming make you a swimmer? No, you have to get into the water. English is exactly the same. Don't wait until you know everything. Start speaking with what you already know. Every conversation is another step toward fluency. Habit number 3. They learn phrases, not just words. Imagine someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" Instead of thinking about grammar and vocabulary separately, fluent speakers already know useful expressions. For example, "It was fantastic. I had a relaxing weekend. I spent time with my family. I caught up with some friends, noticed something." They're using complete ideas, not isolated words. When you learn phrases, speaking becomes much easier. That's why I always recommend learning expressions instead of long vocabulary lists. One useful phrase can help you in hundreds of conversations. Habit number 4. They read every day. Reading is one of the fastest ways to improve your English. It introduces you to new vocabulary, it improves your grammar naturally, and it helps you understand how native speakers express their ideas. You don't need difficult books. Start with something enjoyable. Read short stories. Read simple news articles. Read blogs. Read children's books if you're a beginner. The important thing is consistency. Just 15 minutes every day can make a huge difference. Habit number 5. They think in English. This habit changes everything. Throughout the day, start talking to yourself in English. For example, "I'm making breakfast." "I need to answer my emails." "The weather is beautiful today." "I should go to the supermarket later." These simple thoughts train your brain to stop translating. Little by little, English becomes automatic. At first, it feels strange, but after a few weeks, you'll notice something amazing. Comma. You'll begin thinking in English without even realizing it. Habit number 6. They review what they learn. Many learners always chase new information, new grammar, new vocabulary, new lessons, but they rarely review old material. Imagine filling a bucket with water that has a hole in the bottom. That's what happens when you never review. Successful learners review regularly. They go back to yesterday's vocabulary, last week's grammar, last month's phrases. Review turns short-term memory into long-term knowledge. Don't just learn, remember. Habit number 7. They make English part of their lifestyle. Successful learners don't treat English as homework. They make it part of their daily life. They change their phone language to English. They follow English-speaking creators. They watch interviews. They read comments in English. They write shopping lists in English. They keep a daily journal in English. English isn't something they study. It's something they live. And that's why they improve faster. Habit number 8. They never give up. Finally, the most important habit. Persistence. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you don't want to study, days when you think you're making no progress. Those days happen to everyone. The difference is that successful learners continue anyway. They understand that motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Even 10 minutes of practice is better than doing nothing. Progress isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to quit. So today, I'd like to ask you one question. Which of these 8 habits can you start today? Maybe it's listening to one podcast. Maybe it's learning 5 new phrases. Maybe it's reading 1 page of a book. Choose one habit, start today, and keep doing it tomorrow, because fluency isn't built in one extraordinary day. It's built through ordinary habits repeated consistently. Your 60-day roadmap to English fluency. Now we've reached one of the most important parts of today's podcast. Many people ask me, can I become fluent in English in 60 days? My answer is this. You probably won't become completely fluent in just 60 days, but you can make incredible progress in 60 days if you practice consistently. You can become more confident. You can understand much more. You can build a strong habit, and most importantly, you can create momentum that will continue long after those 60 days are over. So today, I'd like to share a simple daily routine. You don't need 8 hours a day. You don't need expensive courses. You only need consistency. Let's begin. Step 1. Start your morning with English 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes of your morning can change your entire day instead of checking social media as soon as you wake up. Spend 15 minutes with English, listen to a short podcast, watch a short English video, or review yesterday's vocabulary. Your brain is fresh in the morning. This is one of the best times to learn. Imagine starting every day with English instead of distractions after 60 days. That's 15 hours of focused practice. Small daily habits create amazing results. Step 2. Learn 5 new phrases every day. Notice that I said phrases, not words. For example, instead of learning the word decision, learn the phrase, I made the right decision. Instead of learning opportunity, learn. This is a great opportunity when you learn complete phrases. Speaking becomes much easier because your brain remembers language in chunks. Write each phrase in a notebook, read it aloud, repeat it several times, then create your own example. If you learn only 5 useful phrases every day, you'll know about 300 new phrases after 2 months. Imagine how much more naturally you'll speak. Step 3. Listen while doing other activities. Many people think they don't have enough time. But often, it's not about finding more time, it's about using the time you already have. Listen to English while you're cooking, while you're cleaning your house, while you're walking, while you're driving. Even if you're not paying attention to every word, your brain is becoming familiar with English sounds and sentence patterns. Little by little, listening becomes easier. Step 4. Speak every day. This is the habit that changes everything. You don't need a native speaker. You don't even need a teacher every day. Speak to yourself. Describe your day. Talk about your plans. Retell a story. Answer common interview questions. For example, what did I do today? What are my goals? What did I learn from this podcast? The goal isn't perfect English. The goal is to make speaking a daily habit. Every sentence you speak makes you more confident. Step 5. Read every evening. Reading helps you improve vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure at the same time. Choose something enjoyable, a short story, a news article, a simple book. Read slowly, underline useful expressions. Ask yourself, could I use this sentence in real life? Reading isn't about finishing many pages, it's about understanding and learning. Step 6. Review before sleeping. This step is often forgotten before you go to bed. Review everything you learned today. Look at your 5 phrases. Repeat them aloud. Try to remember today's grammar point. Think about what you listened to. Review is where real learning happens. Without review, we forget. With review, we remember. Your weekly challenge every Sunday? Ask yourself these questions. Did I practice every day? What was my biggest improvement? Which habit was difficult? What will I improve next week? Don't expect perfection. Expect progress. If you miss one day, don't quit. Simply continue the next day. One missed day doesn't ruin your progress. Giving up does, remember? Fluency isn't built by studying once in a while. It's built by showing up every single day, even when you don't feel motivated. If you stay consistent for 60 days, you'll notice something incredible. You'll understand more, you'll think faster, you'll speak with more confidence, and you'll realize that fluency isn't a dream anymore. It's becoming your reality. The mindset that will make you fluent. We've talked about habits. We've talked about mistakes. We've talked about a daily routine. But before we finish today's podcast, I want to talk about something that is even more important than grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. Your mindset. Because your mindset determines whether you keep going or give up. Let me ask you a question. Why did you start learning English? Take a moment and think about it. Maybe you want a better job. Maybe you want to study abroad. Maybe you dream of traveling the world. Maybe you want to pass the IELTS exam. Or maybe you simply want to become the best version of yourself. Whatever your reason is, don't forget it. Write it down, read it every morning. Because there will be days when you don't feel motivated. There will be days when you feel tired. There will be days when you think, my English isn't improving. Those moments are normal. Every successful English speaker has experienced them. The difference is that they didn't stop. They kept going. They trusted the process. Remember this, fluency is not built in one day. It's built every time you choose to practice instead of making excuses. Every time you learn one new phrase. Every time you listen to a podcast, comma. Every time you read one more page. Every time you speak, even when you're nervous. Those small moments may seem unimportant, but together, they build confidence, and confidence builds fluency. Don't compare yourself with someone who has been learning English for 10 years. Compare yourself with the person you were yesterday. Can you understand one more sentence today? Can you pronounce one more word correctly? Can you speak for 1 minute longer than last week? If the answer is yes, then you're already succeeding. Progress is progress, no matter how small it seems. There's a famous quote that says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today." The same is true for learning English. Maybe you wish you had started years ago. Maybe you feel you've wasted time. Don't focus on the past. Focus on today, comma. Today is the only day you can change. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, you open this video again, you remember this moment. What do you want to say to yourself? Do you want to say, "I'm so glad I didn't give up"? Or, "I wish I had started"? The choice you make today will decide the answer. So, here's my challenge for you. For the next 30 days, listen to English every day. Learn 5 useful phrases every day. Speak English for at least 10 minutes every day. Read something in English every day. Never let one bad day become a bad week. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Before we finish, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. I will not give up. That sentence is more than a comment. It's a promise to yourself, comma, and every time you see it, remember why you started. If this podcast helped you, please support the channel, subscribe to I Speak English, like this video. Share it with a friend who is learning English. Together, we can build a community where people become more confident, more fluent, and more successful every single day. Thank you so much for listening. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and remember, every fluent English speaker was once a beginner who refused to quit. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, and goodbye.